Hello, Flickering Myth family, and welcome to our channel. Today, as part of our Oscars 2022 coverage, I will be breaking down two films and looking at their prospects, their predictions, and where they will land at this year's Oscars. I will also give my small feelings on both films, and let's just get into this. Today's films, we are talking about The Tragedy of Macbeth and King Richard, basically the best actor battle. Since I've spoken about The Tragedy of Macbeth on this channel, I'll keep my little review section for it short. I think this is a phenomenal film, one of my favorite from the Cohen brothers, even though it's just Joel, but if I could put it under their family, I would say this is one of my favorite films from a Cohen. It is just so artistic, so different. It's a great reinvention of the Macbeth story. I haven't seen Macbeth done like this ever, but thankfully that's good. It's just, it needed to be added some extra flavor and some spice to it. People like Denzel, Frances McDormand, and Corey Hawkins do their damn thing in the acting department, but for me, supporting actor of the year is Kathryn Hunter as the Witches. She is so phenomenal, makes the film what it's worth, but this has a lot of potential. We'll talk about it in the prediction section because I see this landing in a lot of places. Can it nab some wins? We shall see. This might be a little too weird for many voters. That means like Critics' Choice, that from Oscars, all of the people. Yeah, I could see this being a bit too strange, but I thought it was so interesting, so artistic, so needed in this lineup of films this year. There is nothing like The Tragedy of Macbeth. Now, looking at King Richard, I went into this a bit interested. I like Will Smith, not one of my favorite actors, nothing wrong with him, but not one of my personal favorites. This was also a story that I went, but why are we telling it about the dad and not about Venus and Serena? So that threw me off a bit as well. Thankfully, all these hesitations lowered my expectations, so I was even more thrilled when I saw it and was very impressed by this film. It avoids being a very typical biopic film, a very typical feel-good, Oscar-friendly biopic film, and it doesn't feel like that. There's layers to this film that I did not expect. All the acting's very good. It's a well-made film. There's some all moments, there's some dramatic moments. I also don't think it became a puff piece for the character. I go back to things like Bohemian Rhapsody and even Rocketman at times when I'm looking at Oscar-friendly biopics, and they feel so watered down, so willing to make their lead character this saintly, this good hero. Not King Richard. Richard, sometimes he's not the best person, and the film isn't afraid to admit that. They never demonize him, but they keep it very real, which was one of my favorite things for it. And it allowed Will Smith to have a great central performance. He really carries this film. Everyone does good. We'll talk about some actors in a second. I think this is a film that all the actors play well together, but I will say Smith just very good at making this his character, his film, without overshining Venus and Serena. You definitely understand the importance he played to their story. I thought that was so good, so interesting. Again, I was worried that this biopic, I was just like, I kind of want to see it about the girls, but I don't know, I felt satisfied by the end of this, of how they handled the story, how they handled these characters. This was a refreshing film, very different than what I thought it was going to be in the biopic sense. Happy that it exists, happy that it's going to do well, because this has very good chances of being a Best Actor contender. Jumping back to Macbeth, let's look at how it's going to do at the Oscars. I see this landing in a lot of spots. I would be hopeful to see this get a Best Picture nomination, but I'm not 1,000% sure on that. Again, I think this could be a bit too weird for all of the voters, but looking at adapted screenplay, there is no better adaptation of something for me this year than The Tragedy of Macbeth. Joe Cohen really found a way to make Macbeth feel modern and new, not modernizing it. This doesn't feel like it's trying to bring it to 2021, but it finds a way of marrying sensibilities from today's filmmaking with the Shakespeareanness of it all. I thought that was very refreshing. It made the script a strong contender for adapted screenplay. We also have some good supporting acting. I think, like, again, Kathryn Hunter is the reason to see this movie. She is absolutely phenomenal, but at the same time, Corey Hawkins is so good in his supporting role. I absolutely think these two supporting actors need to be in the conversation because they're so good. Frances McDormand, okay, I like her. She just came off a Best Actress win, so she's not at the top of my list, but she is in my, when I'm making 5 actresses, Frances McDormand has been on my list. She's very good in this film, very good, but since she just won and then won a couple years ago, I'm not like, I have to give her an award, let's give it to her now. I'm a bit okay on that. but this film should be Denzel's shot at another Oscar. Yes, he's going to have to face off with Will Smith, as I just said in a second, but I love that there is two black men in the conversation, and I don't feel like I need to take one out to put the other. That's how it felt for so many years, for so many people making this thing and like, one person of color, that's it. There's no more room on our ballots. That's not how it is anymore, and that's how it should have never been, but I'm happy to see that I look at Denzel and I go, he has a damn good shot. He is just so good in this. I can't wait for more people to see Tragedy Macbeth so they can see that Denzel is at the top of his game here. There is nobody better at what he does, and that's acting, that's playing crazy, that's playing soft and quiet. He does it all in this film, and it makes it well worth the viewing. I think Denzel has a very good shot of being a Best Actor contender and possibly winning it all. Speaking of Best Actor, yes, there's fan favorites like Andrew Garfield and Benedict Cumberbatch, but I look at people like Denzel, and I look at people like Will Smith and King Richard, and I go, well, who else could it be? Like, oh my goodness, Will Smith in this film is just in the first 15 minutes, he gets beat up, we see him fight with his neighbor, we see some stuff with his wife, he has good moments with the daughters, and I'm like, in 15 minutes, Will Smith does more in 20 minutes of this film than some of the other actors have done all year. And again, I'm like a light Will Smith fan. I like him, I understand him, I respect him, but I'm not one to just glowingly praise him. So for me to praise him as I am now, you have to know that King Richard is a very good film. I would also like to see this in Best Picture. This is a feel-good film without feeling too feel-good film. You know, some of those movies I go back to, Green Book is a good example of like, well, look at this. Aren't we just solving racism? Aren't we just good people? And I'm like, oh my goodness, not this film. King Richard wasn't afraid to get dark and wasn't afraid to show the reality, but always pushed towards a positive ending. A very good script, a very good film. I would like to see it in the screenplay department. I would like to see it in some of the other stuff. Supporting actress. I think John Bernthal, I'm not going to put him on a supporting actor, but he does good as well. This is a film that has a lot going for it. It is a bit top heavy. It kind of reminds me of House of Gucci in that sense, where you're talking about Lady Gaga. That's when you're talking about House of Gucci, you're talking about Gaga's performance. Same thing with King Richard a bit, where I think you are talking about Smith's performance. Everyone does well. I think his wife, Aunjanue Ellis, I think her name is, Ellis, she is phenomenal in this film. Another good contender for supporting actress. She's a good grounding, a good soul to this film. Definitely think all of these elements make King Richard a crowd-pleasing, feel-good film that deserves a shot at the Oscars. Again, in multiple categories. Nothing like cinematography, maybe score. Oh, and best song. I cannot forget. Kind of forgot some of these before, but wow, Beyonce. Ooh, you might be going against Billie Eilish and Ariana Grande and possibly your husband Jay-Z, but Beyonce, you have a shot. This was a damn good song. Overall, King Richard has a lot to offer, and don't be shocked when you see this at the Oscars next year. Alright everyone, that is it for my breakdown of these two films. What did you think of the Tragedy of Macbeth? What did you think of King Richard? Share your feelings down in the comments below. Did you like these movies? Did you hate them? Let me know all your feelings. Make sure you guys subscribe to our channel because we make videos like this every single week, and give us a thumbs up if you did enjoy. Alright everyone, let's talk about these Oscar predictions down below.